I'd call that a mild success. I call that unbelievable.
Unbelievable indeed. Anyways, welcome back, true believers and all you merry Marvelites, as well as all you awesome PlayStation fans out there, to a very exciting video. Now, I know I haven't been the most active on my channel recently, but of course that is because there hasn't been any major news happening as of late, even though the Summer Game Fest is currently happening right now through May all the way up until August. And even though we did end up receiving a few quick glimpses at some next-gen gameplay from that of the Inside Xbox showcase just a few days ago, it turns out that today, on May 12th, was the first official showcase of a brand new game debuted from the Summer Game Fest lineup. And alongside of all that, we also got some pretty interesting info coming directly from the PlayStation first-party worldwide studios lineup and a brand new initiative that they will be a part of. And obviously, as you should all know by now, Insomniac Games has been officially bought by Sony ever since last year in 2019, which makes them officially part of their first-party worldwide studios lineup. But before we dive into all this exciting PlayStation news and how it could possibly relate to the inevitable sequel of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 exclusively on PlayStation 5, it turns out that there are two other major Marvel games that we are currently waiting for with other status updates, which I do think you will be pretty reassured with. So first off, this game was actually bunked together with that of The Last of Us Part 2 back when that game was officially delayed indefinitely, and this game was also another factor of the massive delays due to the massive pandemic that we are currently facing. And primarily, I'm directly talking about the very exciting virtual reality game that Marvel is currently making with that of Iron Man VR. And seeing that this news comes directly from PlayStation themselves, they did state Sony Interactive Entertainment Update. We are pleased to announce that Marvel's Iron Man VR will release on July 3rd. Please look forward to more news in the coming weeks. And to back that statement up a bit further from the developers of the game itself with that of Camouflage, they then quoted PlayStation's tweet and said, "Thank you to our amazing, supportive fans for sticking with us. We appreciate your patience and we can't wait for you to fully experience Marvel's Iron Man VR when you #suit up on July 3rd, 2020. Now, I know quite a lot of you may not be as excited for this game as, say, with that of Spider-Man PS5 or maybe even Marvel's Avengers, but for me personally, I am very much looking forward to this title and playing it for myself fully once it does release. I actually got to play this game's demo back during San Diego Comic-Con of last year, and I personally thought that it was absolutely phenomenal. And knowing that we now have an official release date for when the game is going to launch on July 3rd, it makes me that much more reassured into what the final product of the game is going to be. However, I wish I could say I felt the same way about the Avengers project, which we have barely received any news on, and it's supposedly still going to release in September of this year. The main reasons as to why I'm still skeptical about this game releasing in September is because we have still yet to receive any major co-op footage or any information relating to the game's beta. There's also been nothing but utter silence from the Marvel's Avengers social pages for months now, and even so, they still don't seem to want to talk about anything about the game other than A-Day. But on the flip side, we do know that Square Enix is actually going to be attending the Summer Game Fest event, so fingers crossed that we could actually see a showcase of Marvel's Avengers during the festivities one way or another. And as for the main status update for the Avengers project's release date, actually comes directly from one of Square Enix's marketing employees with that of Isabelle Sue. And given the simple post that Isabelle left, she stated that September 4th, 2020 is gonna be too much for me. And as you should all know by now, September 4th is the newest release date that we have for Marvel's Avengers after its previous delay from that of May 15th. And just for fun, in case you missed it, during the current Summer Game Fest announcement that did occur today on May 12th, we did receive an awesome announcement for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 being fully remastered. And knowing that both of these games should hopefully release on the same day of September 4th, that's just going to be a fun day for gamers overall. So given the fact that we now have a brand new release date set for Iron Man VR to launch on July 3rd, as well as the developers over at Square Enix remaining adamant that Marvel's Avengers will release worldwide on September 4th, it surely looks like that things for Marvel games are ramping up overall. But let's not forget that while things for Marvel games are currently on the up and up, the same thing can be said for PlayStation and all of their first-party worldwide studios. And yes, this does in fact include Insomniac games. So in case you missed it earlier today, PlayStation officially posted on social media that they now launched a brand new initiative of their company titled PlayStation Studios. And furthermore, GamesIndustry.biz did do a complete article fully breaking down everything that you need to know about PlayStation Studios and how this is going to operate going forward with that of the PlayStation 5. So to read off the article directly, it states Sony has developed a new umbrella brand to unite its first-party PlayStation titles. The PlayStation Studios brand will go live alongside PlayStation 5 later this year, and will only be featured on games developed and managed by Sony Interactive Entertainment's Worldwide Studios organization. And as you're seeing here again, alongside the logo, PlayStation has created a new opening video that will appear at the start of its games. The video features characters from Uncharted, Little Big Planet, God of War, Ratchet & Clank, Horizon Zero Dawn, and The Last of Us. We are really excited about this, says Eric Lempel, Senior Vice President and Head of Global Marketing at Sony Interactive Entertainment. Over the last few years and even the last decade, the strength of the titles coming out of our studios has been stronger than ever. We have been thinking about how we unite all these great games under one brand. And really the purpose of that is to make the consumer understand that when they see this brand, they're getting ready for a robust, innovative, deep experience that they've come to expect from games coming from PlayStation. So we came up with PlayStation Studios. You've seen the animated asset that will exist primarily during the beginning of our titles, but the brand will exist in a lot of different places. There are different shorter animations that will exist in trailers. It will exist in advertising. It will be in any other creative assets, such as the game packaging and the game discs themselves. And be sure to pay attention to this next quote because I do think it is pretty important. We think this is a good way to let consumers know that if they see it, then the quality games they've come to expect from us are here. And this brand will exist for well-known existing franchises as well as brand new franchises that we have yet to explore. So as a quick summary, Sony is trying to fully advocate to consumers that the PlayStation Studios brand is going to be fully synonymous with huge blockbuster AAA exclusives. And seeing how this directly relates to the first-party worldwide studios lineup that Sony Interactive Entertainment has currently acquired, that hits the point home even further. For me personally, I'm already a huge fan of all these developers like that of Insomniac, Sucker Punch, and even Naughty Dog, so seeing how they're going to be further highlighted even more with the PlayStation Studios brand backing them up, it truly adds up to a complete win-win scenario with relating to Sony as well as all the fans of all these incredible games. And excitingly enough, there will be variations of the video asset, Lempel tells us, and although the clip may look like something you would see before a Marvel movie, the inspiration for the branding came from the games themselves. What we really wanted to do was create a way to bring the consumer into the world. When they play our games, that's the nice robust piece that happens, and then you're transported into an adventure with rich worlds, old characters, and really captivating stories. We're all huge Marvel fans. One of our biggest games of all time has a Marvel character in it with Spider-Man, but this is really about doing something specific for our games and our industry. The cinematic you've seen is the one that has multiple games in it, but over time, as we introduce well-established franchises, we can tailor that opening a bit to possibly show the franchise over the years and or new characters that have come into play. There's a lot we can do that we're really excited about. And while it is cool to see all these awesome PlayStation exclusives appear within this intro, the fact that they did directly reference Marvel during this article and not input Spider-Man in it whatsoever is a bit disheartening to say the least for me. Now, one theory I do have is that they are simply waiting for them to reveal the sequel for Spider-Man PS4 and then input the new showcase of the character into the intro afterwards. Not to mention that I'm sure that there might be a lot of licensing problems between Marvel and Sony, so it would make sense that Insomniac would appear in this intro using Ratchet & Clank instead of Spider-Man, which is a character that they do not own. So I do understand why a licensed IP like Spider-Man may not be able to appear within the intro as of right now, but hopefully that could change later on down the line. So to continue with the article again, it states alongside games developed by Sony's first-party studios, such as Naughty Dog, Insomniac, Santa Monica Studio, Media Molecule, and Guerrilla Games, the PlayStation Studios brand will also apply to games made by work-for-hire developers under Sony's direction. If our studios are managing the production of these games and working with an external developer, it will still come out under the PlayStation Studios brand. It doesn't mean that we outright own the developer, but it just means we brought it up as a first party. In a lot of cases, we don't actually own the developer. PlayStation's first-party lineup has proven to be a big selling point over the life cycle of PlayStation 4. The company has become known for its story-driven single-player games with the likes of Uncharted 4, Spider-Man, God of War, and Horizon Zero Dawn, winning awards and selling in excess of 10 million units worldwide. Yet Lempel says that the average consumer isn't necessarily aware that these games all come from Sony. It's something we've thought about for a while, and especially as we move towards the next generation, we really want to back our games in an even bigger way. We've done everything in terms of massive, robust marketing campaigns, and this is an even better way to bring together these games, united and an easy way for fans to understand what they're getting into. And to finalize the article with a quote which I do find a little bit cocky, he does go on to say, "We've never had any problem getting people to play these games. They're usually critically acclaimed, award-winning franchises that are games of the year, but for the average consumer, it's not always clear what games come directly from our worldwide studios." And to your point, they've come to understand in many cases that these are really robust, innovative single-player experiences. Of course, there is a variety of other games that don't fit into that mold, but nonetheless, we wanted to make sure people know that these are the games coming from our worldwide studios. So to reiterate once more, PlayStation Studios is basically to advocate to all the general consumers out there that these are the games that you can expect to fully be underneath the first-party worldwide studios lineup. And seeing how all these massive franchises like Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon, and Last of Us may continue in the future with the PlayStation Studios branding backing them up, this is truly going to incentivize gamers that they are going to make a worthwhile decision by purchasing a game with the PlayStation Studios brand on it. And seeing how I've personally been a PlayStation fan ever since the first console released and have purchased each and every one of the AAA exclusives that have released previously, I know for a fact that the future of PlayStation is bigger and brighter than ever before, and I for one just can't wait to see where we go with it next. And without a doubt, knowing that Marvel's Spider-Man 2 will surely be an exclusive on the PlayStation 5 with the PlayStation Studios branding going to be a part of it, I just can't wait to see all of that unfold. But with all that said, everyone, that's the video I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. What do you think of all this news pertaining to PlayStation Studios, and how exactly do you think this is going to relate to Marvel's Spider-Man 2 most likely being an exclusive on PlayStation 5? Again, I am a massive fan of all the major AAA PlayStation exclusives that have released previously, and I have no doubt that whatever is going to be coming in the future is just going to be as great as what we have already received. And seeing how PlayStation is still officially part of the Summer Game Fest activities, fingers crossed that we actually end up receiving even more updates about this sooner rather than later. But until next time, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Stay merry, Marvelites, and stay awesome, PlayStation fans, and furthermore, peace out.
Just make your own best game and let your partners who we've chosen for a reason to do what they do best.
Yeah, and I also want to add one more thing. A big part of that is Sony. They have supported this game so damn well, and they are unbelievably publishing partners, and I want to thank them for everything they've done over these years. They are fantastic.
That big banner when you walk in the hall, I mean, the whole setup, Sony all the way.